Since I was 5 years old, I can remember looking up at the night sky and dreaming. I wondered what the stars were made of, how many of them there were. But most of all, I dreamed of someday going there. I wasn't sure how, and I wasn't sure when, but I knew that it would happen. I would go to space. Now, when I was about 6 or 7 years old, my dad gave me this book, and it's called The Universe. As you can see, it's a massive coffee table book filled with everything that you could want to know about, well, the universe. He used to read it to me at night, and sometimes I would read it on my own, trying to memorize what a quark was or all the moons of Jupiter. Now, my parents were divorced, and I used to lug this book back and forth every week from house to house, which I'm sure you can see was no small task for a 7-year-old. When I was 13 years old, I happened upon an adventure that would change the course of my life. Attending the launch of STS-134, the second to last shuttle ever. I had spent weeks prior to the launch imagining what it would be like. I'd watched countless videos. I imagined the plumes of smoke and to see the fiery tail, to feel the ground tremble, and to hear the earth-shaking roar of the engines. This is what I expected to see. So when I got there, and instead I saw this, I might have been just a little bit disappointed. The shuttle was there and gone in 4 seconds, obscured by the clouds and the trees. So you might wonder then, why am I standing on this red dot telling you about this right now, if I barely saw it? Well, this experience was so central and important to me because along the way, I realized that the journey is more important than the destination. As cliche as that may sound, it is true. And even more than that, it's about the people that you meet along the way. For me, it was one person in particular, newly commissioned astronaut Luca Parmitano. I knew of him. He had attended the launch as well to speak to groups, and I'd really been hoping to meet him. But it turns out that it wasn't meant to happen. Or maybe it was. As my mom and I were going back through the airport on our way home from this phenomenal journey, guess who was right behind us in security but Luca? I still remember my mom nudging me and whispering, "Psst, Abby, do you remember that astronaut that I told about you? He's right behind us." And I whipped around so fast, I'm surprised I didn't get whiplash, just stunned. Being 13, however, I was still obliged to be snarky. And so I said to her, "Oh, Mom, just because he's bald doesn't mean it's Luca Parmitano." But she convinced me that it was him, and she was right. And so we went up, and I introduced myself. Now, Luca ended up sitting down with me and talking for about an hour, through which we covered everything, from his job as an astronaut to my dreams to someday go to Mars, and even had time for an interview for my History Day project, which was, of course, space-related. Now, when I first met Luca, I said, "Oh my gosh, you're amazing because you're an astronaut and that's what I want to be, and you're just fantastic, and what advice can you tell me? I want to go to Mars, how can you help me get there?" And I don't know if this is the nerves, but I remember it being that fast. Despite my jumbled phrasing, Luca had some incredible and unique advice to give me on reaching for a dream. He told me to do what I loved, not what I thought NASA wanted me to do, because NASA is looking for people who are passionate about what they do. This may just have been the beginning of my understanding of what it means to truly be passionate. Upon departing, Luca taught me one more thing, this time through his words, instead of directly through his actions. He gave me his email address and said, "I will be your astronaut. If you have any questions, email me." Through doing this, Luca showed me that to chase after your own passions doesn't just mean to single-mindedly look at what you want. It means to reach out a helping hand to others, to recognize their passions as well, and to do what you can to help them. Luca inspired me to think about what could I do to inspire someone else the way that he had that day. This changed me from just dreaming big to dreaming big, acting big, and hopefully inspiring other people along the way. Now, the first step is that you have to have your dream, your Mars, whatever it may be, and you need to talk about it to other people. I started saying that I wanted to be an astronaut when I was just a kid. And with that, I was often regarded in the same manner that you would regard a kid who says that they want to be a princess or a superhero. Astronaut gets put into this group of seemingly unattainable and childish dreams. And sadly, with that, it often gets regarded as something that you'll grow out of. But as the years went on, I didn't grow out of it. And soon people started to take notice. The first person, other than myself, to believe in my dream was my mom. When I was about 11 years old, she realized that I was still saying I wanted to be an astronaut, only 6 years after I first said it. Prior to that, she had vaguely encouraged me along with everyone else, saying, "That's nice, honey, and why don't you be a scientist or a doctor?" It's not that she ever discouraged it, but she didn't believe. When this shift happened, however, it changed something. For the first time ever, someone else believed in me. I had support. I still remember her sitting me down and saying, and mind you, I was 11 at this point, she sat me down and very seriously looked at me and said, "If this is what you want to do, you need to start working towards it now and thinking about how you're going to get there." And so I came back the next day with 2 sheets of paper, different research on the different ways I could go about becoming an astronaut. That's when my mom became my biggest supporter and has stayed so ever since. Now, next, you have to act big. This means taking opportunities when they come upon you, and sometimes taking risks. Acting big. This past January, it was time for me to act big when I got an invitation from Luca to come watch his launch in Baikonur, Kazakhstan. Now, I was overjoyed until I realized that this was a $20,000 trip. Yeah. The idea of that much money absolutely terrified me. But once again, my mom was determined to make it happen. She even said that she'd sell a kidney if she had to. I mean, you only need one of those. But we've heard that that can be a pretty sketchy business. So instead, we decided that we'd try crowdfunding. And with that, I realized that this was the opportunity that I had been looking for, to take the entire experience and share it with the online space community. I set the goal at $35,000, which would allow me to not only make the trip and watch the launch, but also to take what I learned, to take this experience, as well as my own passions, and share them with people around the world in a multitude of ways, including speaking, visiting classrooms, and so much more. Now, I made a call to action to the online space community, many of whom had grown to support me when I first started talking about on Twitter about my dream when I was 13. At first, it seemed like there was no way that I wouldn't make it. With more than $6,000 pouring in the first 2 days. The amount of support that was shown was absolutely phenomenal. But a couple weeks later, and it was still under $10,000, far from what was needed. It was a grueling 60-day campaign, throughout which I worried often, almost every day, that it wouldn't happen. But somehow, with nearly 500 people chipping in and supporting me, we made it. And let me tell you, I am still writing thank you notes. So I learned from this that it would have been easy to give up at any point. This was hard. Like I said, I doubted myself every day. I doubted the ability of a 15-year-old to raise $35,000, travel halfway across the world, and then take that and project it to the entire world. It would have been easy to give up at any point or to play small. But as Nelson Mandela once said, there is no passion to be found playing small in settling for a life that is less than that which you are capable of living. I would add to this that settling for a life that is less than that which you are capable of does not serve yourself or the world and will not help you in any way. Now, something that I truly believe in is that dreamers can change the world. In 1961, President John F. Kennedy had a dream, and he shared it with America. I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieve the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth. Those were his words, his actions. Our world has not been the same since then. It has been better. We have enjoyed the use of satellites, cell phones, medical technology, and so much more. Every time we, as a nation, put our minds towards human space travel, we enjoy massive benefits. But by far the greatest benefit that we have yet to accomplish from space travel is that we have realized as a nation, as a culture, as a community, that no dream is too big or too unattainable when we try our hardest and work together. Now, we all need to be inspired, motivated to keep chasing our dreams and passions. Sometimes we lose sight of these passions, these things that make life so worthwhile, so worth living. And we need a little push in the right direction, a little reminder to keep going after them. Now, the question is, who's going to give that push, and how? And the answer is actually very simple, and that's that every single one of you has the power to give that push. And it's very easy. By simply not only dreaming big, but dreaming big and acting on your dreams, you inspire other people to follow their own dreams. And in turn, when you help other people to reach their dreams, it can inspire you to act on your own. It's like a circle of inspiration. Now, I've seen this happen many times in the past 3 years since I first started talking publicly about my dream to go to Mars. I've had people email me from around the world of all ages, telling me that I've either inspired them or offering words of inspiration to me. In fact, about 40% of my courage to stand on this stage today comes from me, and the other 60% comes from the people who emailed me or tweeted me this morning. Now, I'd always hoped through everything that I was doing, through talking about my dream and acting on my dream, that I might be able to provide this inspiration to other people. And I think that I have. I'd like to share with you the story of one girl who emailed me to tell me that I had done just that for her. Her name is Katrina, and she lives in Kansas. And she emailed me one day and told me that she had lost her focus in high school and dropped out. Now, she said that she's now 19, and that as she read everything on my blog and elsewhere that I was doing, if I could do something this big, or even dream of something this big, then she could finish high school, and maybe, just maybe, she could do something big too. Katrina got her GED, and she is now in college studying geology. She has found her Mars, her inspiration, her dream, and she continues to inspire me every day with it. Now, there are so many Katrinas in the world, people who have lost sight of their dreams, who don't know how, who need a little push to keep going after what inspires us and what makes this so worthwhile, to keep going after these things that will allow you to have experiences, and the experiences that make life so rich and rewarding, they only come from acting big. Now, I want to show you a video of one of these experiences that I had. I took this video from only 1 mile underneath, or away from the launch pad in Baikonur, Kazakhstan.
La cuenta atrás comienza la señal de salida, pues bien, ese sonido de la nave que despega levanta la estación espacial internacional.
So I ask you, what experiences could you have if you were to not only dream big, but to dream big, act big, and inspire others? I understand though, I get it. I'm only 16 and I'm still idealistic. I still believe in things like changing the world and dreams coming true. But from my perspective, as someone who is 16 and who is stuck between childhood, where everything is possible, where all dreams are true in your imagination, and adulthood, where sometimes we forget that, where we lose that, I can tell you that it is possible, that it can happen, that dreams can come true, and that we can change the world for the better. And when we stop trying, we lose out on these experiences, the experiences that make life so rich and rewarding, the experiences that motivate us every day to be change agents in the world. Now, I can also say that because my dream is easy to hold on to. Every time that I look up at night, I'm reminded of the 6-year-old kid who looked at the sky and didn't think of anything but that the stars were fascinating, who didn't listen to anybody who said that this dream was too big. I know that each and every one of you has something like that, a dream, a motivator, a passion. Perhaps you have to dig very deep to find it, but it's there, something that interests you beyond everything else. And when you find that, pull it forward and keep it in front of you. And don't let it go. Allow it to guide your path. So, in closing, you might have noticed that I'm really big on dreaming big. And you also might wonder, do I have a dream for today? And I do. And my TEDx dream for today, you could say, is that each and every one of you will have heard what I'm saying, will take home with you the idea that you can dream big, act big, and inspire someone else, that you can join the circle of inspiration every day through your daily actions. That's all it takes. Thank you.